I am a P2 humoralis, or you can call me Evening Bat. I want to tell you a little bit about myself. In this presentation we will cover profile summary, explanation of my name, range where I live, winter status, hibernate, migrate, habitat, and food. In detail, habitat, known insects that eating bats eat, insects that destroy farm crops and bats eat, physical attributes, weight, physical measurements in grams and millimeters, growth chart, one compiled chart of several species, growth chart, two physical measurements taken weekly, comparison of growth chart of different species. The instructor today will be Nikki Bat. A Fear Production, Foundation for Environmental, Wildlife, Education, Research, and Rehab. DB, Wild Bat Studios. Executive Producer, Radar. Director, Radar. Voiceover Artist, Radar. Red, Radar. Actually, Nikki, Radar. Audio Mixer, Radar. Graphic Artist, Radar. Modeler, Radar. Animator, Radar. Sound Engineer, Radar. Overdubber, Radar. Editor, Radar. Videographer, Radar. Research Consultant, Radar. Yes, Radar did it all, a.k.a. Bruce Taylor. Defining the name. Chiroptera, meaning bat. Winged hand. Vespertilio, Latin meaning evening. Genus is P2, Latin belonging to the night. Species, humoralis, Greek, pertaining to the humerus, bone of the upper arm. Range. North from Ontario, Canada, south to Veracruz, Mexico, central U.S. to east coast. Winter status, hibernate or migrate. I migrate. Has been documented to travel up to 350 miles. Habitat classifications, forester. There are two classifications of bats: foresters, who live isolated lives in shrubs and hedges, under leaves, near gutters and evergreen trees, and the crevice dwellers, who live in small and large colonies from 30 bats to several million, like Bracken Cave in Texas. We live in mines, caves, under bridges, trees, under barky life, oak, beech, bark, cypress, pine trees, and the loss of habitat that have moved into human dwellings like attic, barn buildings, and also bat houses if people pick them up. Evening bats form nursing colonies in hollow trees behind loose bark, buildings, and attics. Many things make the evening bat like a forester, living in bark, trees, and hollow trees, but some things are very much like a crevice dweller, like having colonies ranging from 15 to 1,000 bats, living in attics, buildings, and bat houses, and will join other roost species like big and little brown bats. But like the eastern red bat, is ready to fly in as little as 3 to 4 weeks. For other species, take 5 to 6 weeks. It has up to 3 bursts, but normally will have 1 or 2. Food. The documented food for an evening bat is as follows. Primarily beetles and moths, which include June and Japanese beetles. Forages over corn crops, eating cucumber, corn, earworm moths, south corn, rootworm, and beetles. Green stink bugs, true bugs, spittle bugs, house flies, leafhoppers, flying ants, and termites. I do help the farmer by eating a wide range of crops-destroying pests. The reason what's needed to use pesticides to save his crops and getting you healthier and cheaper food. The next slide gives some measurements of my species. In the wild, it's hard to measure lifespans, but generally it's short due to all the things that can happen here: eaten by a hawk, killed by humans, destruction of habitat. They estimate 2 to 5 years in the wild. In rehab, in permanent care, bats have lived as long as 40 plus years. They have 1 to 2 bursts on average and have up to 3 in a year. They normally fly about 1 mile per food, but can fly up to 30 if necessary. Migration has been measured, traveling of 350 miles. Growing up, we were born about 2 grams, furless, eyes closed, no teeth. Eyes open around 2 weeks. Teeth and fur at 3 or 4 weeks. We start to fly at 3 to 4 weeks. Evening bats are early flyers like an eastern red bat. It takes 56 to 63 days to fully grown at 10 plus minus 5 grams. The graph shows other measurements, but basically our wingspan is 280 millimeters, about 1 foot, and head to tail on 86 millimeters, about 3.5 inches. The last 2 graphs are growth charts. The first is weight versus days old. Very valuable in estimating a pup's age when it comes into rehab. Pup weighs in, depending on the condition. Looks fully hydrated and healthy. Take the actual weight. If not, then an estimate of maybe 1 gram is added and measured on the graph to estimate the age. Pretty accurate and valuable numbers for the right formula, milk, blended milk, and milk can be given. Determine if there are any additional problems with the pup that aren't evident. You'll see the light blue line instead of a curve. Evening bat, that's a starting graph. We don't have a curve for them. I haven't found anything in publications yet for a curve for evening bats, so we'll make one as evening bats come in, but in Oklahoma we only get 1 or 2 evening bats a year, so it's going to take a long time to make a decent curve. Hopefully other rehabbers will help out and plot some data points for it, so we can make a decent curve for the bat. It should follow somewhere between a big brown and an eastern red bat. Let's see, the eastern red bat curves up. The big brown, this graph doesn't really display it very well because it's stretched out, but it basically goes up and then curves, flattens out. It's the opposite of an eastern red bat. So it may be pretty much straight out like a line there, but we'll wait and see. The last graph is body measurements. And these, again, are starting graphs. We have a beginning point at birth, we have an end point. And we don't know what's going on in between because we don't have a graph to show that data. As we get evening bats in, we'll plot them out weekly. The other graph we plot at every feeding. This graph we plot weekly because bats are difficult to measure. They're wiggly and squirmy, and they generally don't like pulling a wing open to measure them. And you can't make any more use, really. It takes a week to get enough, since it's a physical measurement, but you have to eye. You can't really eye something less than a week old for a bat. So, pup grows the wings and body to make sure there isn't any metabolic bone disease caused by poor nutrition. Maybe the diet has to be adjusted and something else is going on with the bat, digestive system. And this is just a composite of several species showing the difference of curves. The eastern red bat, we've hopefully had lots of red bats that come in rehab, so I was able to get a decent curve built. And this one curved up. And you see the caning bat and the cave myotis, they both start going up and then flatten out, get over. Well, I hope you've learned something about me. If you haven't, you will put up some bat houses for us, so we'll have a place to stay and we can help you about preventing those nasty mosquitoes from biting you. There's 46 species of bats in the U.S., 22 in Oklahoma. I hope you'll watch the rest of this episode.